You guys talk for a few minutes. I gotta do something for the 9-year-old's school.
Yeah, no worries, man.
I can get started on mine if you want.
It's Mr. Vin anyway, so
Yeah.
Can you get Mr. Vin full screen with his slides or whatever before you?
I'm just going to do a screen share, so you can take a break if you
want.
It'll
automatically come up then. That's cool.
Cool. All right. So today I'm going to speak a little bit about how to get the most from your outsourced writers. Then I'm going to go through a little walkthrough of how I outline a briefing for a writer. And it works really well. Usually I create these outlines and the content I get back is ready to post and takes very little editing. So this is something I've done with Jared too, and he's seen success with it as well. So first off, a little about me. My name is Vin Deletto. I own wordagents.com. We're a content creation agency that specializes in SEO optimized content. I've been doing it since 2010, and as of today, we have about 70 American writers on the team and a couple support staff employees as well. Besides Word Agents, I also own a portfolio of SEO websites, so kind of practicing what I preach here a little bit. I've sold several websites in the past. Most just for a few grand here and there. But most notably, I did a case study with my buddy Dan De Silva last year for a site that we sold for over 500 grand. So a lot of what we did with that website was based on my content strategies that I'm talking about here today. All right, so as I said, today I'm going to be teaching you first about how to get the most out of your outsourced writers. And then we're going to go into a live example of how to create an article outline that you can send to your writers to get the best bang for your buck. All right, let me look here. All right, so I jotted down a few notes as to how to get the most out of your outsourced writers. The main thing that you guys got to realize is that writers are people. They're not a program that you can't push a button and have them generate generate the perfect article that you had in your mind. They are people. There are going to be discrepancies from writer to writer, differences in tone of voice, writing style, what have you. So I think if you keep that in mind, it'll be a little bit easier as far as how you set your expectations for when you outsource a writer that may have no, experience in your niche or on your topic or what have you. So the first thing is to know exactly what you want. Unless you're ready to pay for revision after revision, you should come to the table knowing exactly what you expect out of the article, exactly what you expect from the writer, and that's going to eliminate a lot of the confusion that might result if you come to the table unprepared. Don't expect the writers to fill in the blanks for you. Unless you're hiring an industry expert that also happens to be an SEO expert, you should be prepared to explain exactly what you want, as if you're talking to somebody that's is doing this for the very first time. Most writers won't know the SEO course that you're part of, the mastermind that you're in, the forum that you participate in. Again, you have to treat them like they're completely raw to this. They're not going to know what a skyscraper article is. They're not going to know what a bucket brigade is. They probably won't even know what keyword density or anchor ratio is. So again, you might get lucky if you find a writer with this type of knowledge, but you should assume that they don't. Okay. Next. When you're creating a briefing for a writer, for an article or for a project that's multiple articles, try to keep your instructions to 2 pages or less. You want your writer to be spending their time researching your topic and actually writing, and not spending 20, 30, 45 minutes just absorbing your article instructions. I know it sounds crazy, but in the past I've gotten, briefings that are close to 20 pages in length for an article that's, 2,000 words. When I see something like that, it's an instant red flag. And I usually turn something like that down. So, try to keep it short and sweet. Know that, like I said, every writer will have their own specific tone of voice and writing style, and you can't micromanage that out by writing 20 pages of instructions. It's just not going to work. You have to allow for some kind of leeway there for, the writer's personal style. And you can't condense your briefing into 2 pages by simply adding links to other articles and telling the writer to say like, hey writer, go read this and absorb this and apply this to the article, because that's basically the same thing as creating a 20-page briefing, and it's just not going to work. But at the end of the day, you just got to be reasonable, treat a writer as a person, and if you take the time to clearly set your expectations, clear any confusion before the project starts, you should have some good success with outsourcing your content to outsourced freelance writers. That's about it as far as my tips for getting the most out of your writers. Before I jump into the live example, do you guys have any questions on that, or are we good to go? Is everybody asleep here? I think everybody's asleep.
Yeah, well, they're just waiting for the good stuff now.
Cool, man. I got to figure out how to do my screen share here, and then we can jump into it.
Awesome.
Screen share screens, and I want to do this one. Okay. See my screen there, Steve? In the Skype chat? Your audio's dead, I think.
Oh.
Cool, I can hear you now.
Okay, cool.
You see my screen okay?
Yep, the streams come up.
Got a question in the chat real quick. Trevor wants to know if I use one writer from multiple subjects. All of our writers, Trevor, are general writers. We have a good amount of internal documents that teach them how to research about any topic. So yeah, we'll use one writer for all different kinds of topics and subjects. All right, so getting into my article outline live example. Basically, this is what I do every time I create an article around a specific keyword that I'm targeting, that I want to rank for. And it takes some time, but it works really well. So today, since I just bought a new puppy that destroyed my house, I'm doing a article outline around the target keyword, German short-haired pointer training. It's got a 500 search volume per month, and it's keyword difficulty number 1, which is pretty low competition. And again, Nick Eubanks and Jared covered a lot of the nitty-gritty of on-site optimization and keyword research, so I'm not going to go into that. But the lower the competition, the better results you're going to have. Okay, so first we're going to take a look at a template for these article outlines. And everything you see right here is basically what I'm going to include in my template that I'm going to send to my writer. I'm going to give them the exact title. I'm going to give them the exact main keyword, secondary keywords, LSI keywords, If they're going to be posting the article for me, I'm going to give them the URL slug, the word count that I expect the article to be, any notes about tone of voice, hyperlinking, any extra notes I want to add in for the writer, and then the actual article outline. And this is what we're actually going to be walking through today. I've completed it already. And we're going to go through that one by one. Okay, so the first step here is to go ahead and you're going to open up a incognito window in Chrome or Firefox, and you're going to search for your target keyword. So I've done that here. Let me just make sure everything is going well here. Yeah, good. Okay, so I'm doing a search for both the phrase match of my keyword and the exact match. And the reason I do that is I'm going to get slightly different results based on the two. And what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for results that are directly related to my target keyword. So again, my target keyword is German short form training. So I'm looking to open up pages that are about exactly that. So open up this one. Did I skip that one? No. This one here. I skipped this one because it's about hunting dogs, not directly related to German short hairs. And I chose this one, but I opened it up and it was some crap content. It was worthless. So I skipped that. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 example pages or seed pages. And then in my exact match, I found one more. So I got 5 in total. So after you open up these pages of direct content that's ranking for your target keyword, you're going to want to jot those down because we're going to use them in a few different spots throughout our article creation process. All right, what do we got here? So next, you want to open up your Ahrefs or whatever keyword tool that you use. I like using Ahrefs because it will allow me to reverse engineer page content on a page level, so I can see what a specific page is ranking for. So as you can see, I've got 5 or 6 tabs open at the top here. Each one is for one of the 5 pages that I pulled from Google search, and I ran, I let Ahrefs run for each one of them. I went to the organic keywords page for each result, organic keywords, and then I filtered the lists by positions 49 and below, just because of the Ahrefs package I have. Keyword difficulty of 0 to 10, and then I filtered what was left by the volume column from highest to lowest. And what I'm doing here with all these searches, these 5 page searches, is I'm going to start looking for my secondary keywords. So I already know that German short-haired pointer training is the head term, the topic term for the topic. But now I'm going to look for some secondary terms that I can also rank for in the same article. Because if I'm going to be doing all this work, I don't want to be, doing it just for one keyword. I want to be ranking using one article to rank for as many keywords as possible. And one article can, like Nick Eubank said this before, one article can rank for thousands upon thousands of keywords if you're doing this this process correctly. So what I'm looking for is keywords that have a volume of over 100 searches per month, and also have a keyword difficulty of like 5 or less. And they're not partial keywords, based on my main keyword. So if a keyword popped up that was just pointer training, I would skip that because it's contained in my main keyword already. So as you can see, I ran these reports for the 5 pages that I pulled, and on my template here, I created a list of secondary keywords, and I got these keywords right here from the searches I just showed you. So German short hair pups, GSP pups, German short hair training, GSP puppies, pointer dog training. These are all keywords that I can integrate into the text of my content and my headers. These are great to add to your headers, and it will increase my likelihood of being the most relevant article for the target keyword, and also increase the likelihood of me ranking for all these secondary keywords. Excuse me. What's next? Okay. Okay, so next, let me see if I just want to make sure.
Can you maybe zoom in on your browser? Is that going to be a real pain in the ass to do on each tab?
I can.
Yeah, not a big deal. I guess it's good enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going forward, I will. I know what you mean. Okay, so now we have our secondary keywords list. And next is I want to run all those 5 pages that I pulled through a TF-IDF keyword analyzer. Again, Nick went into this way more in depth than I'm going to go into. But, using this kind of shotgun approach that I'm doing as of today, it works very well. Okay. So the keyword TF analyzer that I use is a website called ranks.nl. And let me see if I can, there we go, zoom in on that a little bit. So I use the page analyzer. It's really easy to use. You just open it up and pop in. Oh, you know what? I used too much already today. But I've got them saved. So you're just going to pop in each of one of your saved URLs. And what it'll do is it'll spit out keyword lists based on the term frequency of the page that you entered. So what this is good for is Google. We know that Google loves the page already because it's ranking in the top 5, top 10 spots for our target keyword. So we know that the words that are popping up on these results should be included in your content as well. So what I'm doing here is I'm running this analysis for each of the 5 pages that I saved. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this part, you kind of just got to use your head. You got to have a solid understanding of what an LSI keyword is. And you just got to go through and cherry pick LSI keywords that you can add to your article to increase the relevance for the topic term, which again is German short-haired pointer puppies. So I did that for each of these. I go through the single terms and then the 2 phrase terms, and it goes all the way up to phrases of 6 words or more. I generally just stick to the 1 and 2 word phrases, and I'll show you what that looks like here. Out of those 5 searches, I came up with a list of 14 LSI keywords: teach, breeds, breed, behavior, housebreaking, socializing. And what you'll notice is none of these keywords are included in my target keyword. It's all stuff, like Jared said, that is related to the keyword, but isn't just a variation of it, isn't just a synonym. it's relevant to the keyword, but isn't just a variation. So between my secondary keywords and my LSI keywords, I'm going to work all these into the body of the article content at least once each. All right. Cherry pick. All right. So now we have our keywords, and we have to figure out. Well, you know, I like to include the URL slug, because sometimes I'll have my writers post the articles up on my site, and you know, they need to know what slug I want to use for the article, and I always go for the exact keyword I'm targeting. So in this case, it's German short-haired pointer training. Next up, I'm going to want to figure out how long I want my article to be. I generally will just average out the length of the competitor pages that I pulled, and then I'll add like 25 to 50% more onto that, so I can be that much better. And as Jared pointed out, you know, I don't want to just add, you know, extraneous text just to boost the word length of the article. I want to add that 25 to 50% of text with something that's valuable to the reader. So always keep in mind that the goal is to add value to the reader and not just to trick the search engines. So just one sec. Where is what I'm looking for? It's real easy. What I use is a tool called wordcounter.net. It's a real quick and easy tool to just copy and paste text in, so you can get the word lengths of each page. So you just paste it in, instantly got 719 words, 4,000 characters. I'll do this for each of the competitor pages that I'm analyzing. Add them together, average them out, and the average I got for this particular keyword was about 1,000 words. So for my article, I want to make that about 1,500 words. Okay, so back to our template. That's where I got my word count of 1,500 words. Now, before I actually get into outlining my actual article, I'll add some notes to the writer. Any you know, off-the-cuff stuff that I just want to make them aware of, or anything important that they need to know before they actually start researching and writing. So this is what I wrote. I wrote, this article is specifically about training German short-haired pointers. Please do not digress into other topics related to these dogs. This article should follow the outline exactly as it's written, and should not speak about other related topics. So the reason I write that is because often writers will just include the obvious that might be a little too broad for an article. So I want this article to be specifically about training a specific breed of dog. So I don't want a history about the dog. I don't want to know about their health issues. I don't want to know general tips about the dog. I want every single piece of content in this article to be about training the German short-haired pointer. Also let the writer know that they should write in the second person point of view, and the tone of voice should be friendly and instructive. And you know, you can go in more depth here. You can talk about how you want them to use internal links, outbound links, any other instructions that you have for them. I'll add in the notes to writer section. But after that, it's pretty much just jumping into outlining the actual article. We're going to use our competitor pages to start us off. And the way we do that is we first start by defining our subsections. So that'll be our intro about short pointers, what you'll need. These are usually going to be your H2 subsections. So what I like to do is I go back to those competitor pages, if I can find them here. Where'd they go? Did I close out of that? No, here we go. So I'll go to each competitor page and I'll look for their H2 subsections. There's none on here. This is kind of like a hub page to other articles about training the dog. You know, this one here has some good H2 subsections: crate training, potty training, leash training. So those to me jump out as types, ways that, you know, different things you can train your dog to do. So I added those into our template, but I added them in as H3 sections under an overarching how to train a German short-haired pointer H2 subsection. So, you know, the point is you don't have to do exactly how the competitor has it. You just want to have that information in there as well. Let's see what else we got here. German short-haired pointer training and breeding information. So you see, you know, this page kind of got it wrong, and, you know, they have some information that isn't relevant to training this type of dog. You know, you go 3/4 down the page and you're just getting to training information. This is an example of what you don't want to do. They are ranking on the first page for my target keyword right now, but it's most likely because Google has a lack of quality content for this keyword. Good old WikiHow, they do well at you know, breaking up content with subsection. So, you know, the point is to go through and just cherry pick subheaders that you want to use as H2 subheadings in your template. Add those in. You know, from this example, you know, the most I got was this section here. But obviously, you're going to need more than that. So you can use your secondary keywords as you know, inspiration for other subsections, and, you know, just good old ingenuity for coming up for the rest. So my main sections here, I have an intro, I have a little bit about the breed, I have a what you'll need section, you know, any supplies, tools, or treats before you get started. Then we jump into how to train the dog. That'll be your main beef of the article. And then some supplementary information around the main topic. When to start training the GSP, general tips for training GSP, training videos, and a facts section. Okay. So as Jared pointed out, you'll want to add some other types of media or whatever you can to the article beyond just text to really draw the reader in, keep them on the page longer, and boost your time on page and decrease your bounce rate. So what I like to do is I add pictures, images. You know, Jared went over that in his on-site tutorial. I like to add videos that are directly related to the target keyword. So if I go to YouTube and I search German short-haired pointer training, again, just like I did when I searched on Google for the same keyword, I'm looking for videos that are directly around the keyword. So the top one is dead on, so is the second one. And those were the only two that I found that were super hyper relevant to my keyword. So I added those into the template, and I gave them their own section here so that the writer could, you know, describe, you know, write a little blurb for each video about what viewers might see and what they might learn. But you can really embed videos throughout the content wherever you see fit. It doesn't need to be in a specific section like that. Next up is I always like to add a fact section to the article that's directly related to the main keyword. And the way I do this is I use a little tool called answerthepublic.com. And what Answer the Public does, it's a tool that will scrape Google and Bing's auto-suggest feature for common related phrases and questions. And when you include these questions in your content, you tend to get a little bit of a ranking boost. I've tested this on articles that didn't include the fact section and the articles that did, and the ones that did tended to rank better off the bat without any links or social signals. So I try to include questions pulled from Google's auto-suggest as much as possible. So all you'll do, again, is just enter your main keyword, target keyword. And I'm going to zoom in on this once it runs here. And what it does is gives you a cool little visualization of all, the who, what, when, where, and why questions based on long-tail variations of your main keyword. But you can have this displayed in a data visualization. Give me one sec. I have this pulled up already somewhere else. That's not what I want. There it is. Okay, so off my keyword German short-haired pointer training, Answer the Public found 152 viable questions pulled from Google Auto-Suggest. So normally I'm looking for a question string that I can just pull directly from this data and pop right into my article outline. In this specific scenario, it didn't work out that way, so I kind of had to kind of manipulate the question a little bit to work well within the article outline. And the reason being is, as you can see, all of the questions that popped up had my main keyword in them. And I didn't want to copy and paste that directly into the outline because that would kind of throw off my keyword density and over-optimize me for the target keyword. So what I did instead was I just came up with some logical questions based off that data that I could pop into a fact section. How do I train them to come? Is there an easy way to get them to point? What are some good training books? And are there any training supplies that I should get? And I came up with those directly from the auto-suggest data. So it's kind of halfway there. Ultimately, again, I would like to just pull the exact phrase from the tool, but in this scenario, it didn't work out that way. All right. So, as Jared had said, when you create your headings, they should be cascading. So your title is going to be your H1, and then within that, you're going to have all of your H2 headings. And then if you need to break it down into smaller subsections, you'll go down to create training, and those would be your H3 subsections. And again, if you wanted to break it down even more in theory, create training on weekends, that would be H4, and so on and so forth. And that's very important because when Google parses your page, that's what they're going to look for. They're looking for a logical article outline. So we want to keep our on-site SEO optimization in mind while we're creating our outline, because it'll just make it that much easier later if we need to go back and tweak anything. So you have a solid nested article outline using secondary and LSI keywords that you know are already ranking from the currently ranking articles for your target keyword. And now you just got to go back in and you got to add notes in each section for the writer to tell them exactly what you're expecting to see for each section of the article. And again, this is to take out any of the guesswork without micromanaging, so your writer can just focus on research and writing. So intro, obviously no need to use the intro header here. It should be a brief intro section. Try to use a piece of data that's backed up with a primary source of information, and try to use the main keyword in the first sentence or at least the first paragraph. Second section, this should be brief. It should talk about the breed and their temperament. Maybe I'll write 50 words or less. Again, we don't want our writers to spend too much of our word inventory on a section that really isn't the main point of the article. So sometimes you want to define how many words they should use in a specific section. So the next section is what you'll need. Before we can start training our dog, the most logical thing is to be prepared for the training session, and that would include, putting together any tools, supplies, treats that you're going to need. So that would be the most logical section here, and we're letting our writer know that. Now we're getting into the beef of the article. I wrote include a sentence or two of text right here introducing this section. I'll do that because a lot of times, writers wouldn't even include text here, and there's no point stacking headers without any body text in between. And then for each type of training, I wrote provide actionable training instructions. Start with a brief blurb of text and then use an unordered list for the actionable parts. So this tells the writer that we want 1 or 2 sentences of text introducing the type of training, and then they're going to go into an unordered list, which is going to be easily scannable for the reader and is good for SEO optimization. I'm telling the writer here, let us know when we should start training a puppy, when the best time is, and if there's any different training periods at different points in their development where different types of training should occur. So again, this type of thing is letting the writer know that what your expectations are for the section, and it kind of takes their ability away to slack off and kind of just include nonsense writing just to hit the word count. You're telling them exactly what you're expecting to see. I'll always include like a tip section because this allows me to work in some of those secondary keywords. So training German Pointer puppies, GSP puppy training. That's really what these extraneous sections are for, to get those secondary and LSI keywords in a header, which is going to give you an SEO rankings boost. But there we go. I told them, are there any general tips for training the GSP puppies? If so, give each one its own H3 subsection. If not, just a quick unordered list would be fine. Then we're back to our video section. Include a sentence or two introducing the section here, and after for the H3 subheadings for each video, I pulled it directly from the video itself, so that'll help with relevance, for the article. And then I'm having the writer have a blurb about each video, so if someone doesn't want to sit through a video, they can kind of learn what's going to be taught and make a decision if they want to watch a video or not. Fact section, again, introduce the section and then tell the writer to answer the question directly. And finally, in our conclusion section, again, we want to keep it very brief. It summarizes the article, and we want to try to use our main keyword in the last paragraph, or preferably in the last sentence. Okay, so we added all of our notes. The last thing you want to do is go back and create the title for your article. So for this article, I came up with the title, German Short-Haired Pointer Training Ultimate Guide for GSP Puppies. So what I did here is, this is, SEO Optimization 101. I have my target keyword front and center, but then I also include as many words that I can pull from my secondary keywords as possible, in hopes of ranking for as many of these as possible. So if you look through all these keywords, most of the words are represented here. So German, short hair, pups is in there, puppies is, training is there, GSP is there, pointer is there, and you get the idea. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I just want to make sure that I'm maximizing the character space for the title tag. So I like to use title tag tool from Portent. I don't know how to pronounce it. And you can kind of use this tool, little trial and error, until you get to a title tag that's of sufficient length. So I'm using 563 out of 600 possible pixels here. That's good enough for my purposes. So that's about it. This is a completed outline, and this is exactly what I send to my writers. And more often than not, I'm going to be landing in the top 50 to 70 spots for my target keyword as soon as the article is indexed for the target keyword. And within 30 to 90 days, I'm usually on the first page. And that is without any link building, any social signals, just purely on the content itself and the authority of my domain. So you know what? Jared and Nick went into some pretty deep detail as far as topic modeling and on-site optimization. My approach is more of a shotgun approach. Excuse me, I'm going to flip back here from screen share. Stop sharing. Yeah, my approach is more of a shotgun approach. I kind of like to see where my content ranks after 90 days, and then I'll go back and re-optimize the content in depth, like Nick taught and like Jared taught, to do any fine-tuning to get us up to, from the second page up to the first page, and eventually the top 3 spots for my main keyword. And it works. So that's what I got for you guys. And I think
Excellent.
Everybody's sleeping. Anybody here with me?
I'm still here.
Hey, buddy.
Trying to get my video back up. Am I back up? Yeah, I'm back on.
Yeah, I got you.
So that's a lot of work.
Yeah, man. I train a VA to do this. And I usually have them, they can usually handle like 3 to 4 of these per hour. And it's just part of my funnel. Train them to do this. They assign it to the writer. The writer either posts it himself or then sends it to my posting team. And it's pretty hands-off for me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, it seems to be working. So
Yeah,
if a VA can handle it and it's working, I guess it's not costing much. I mean, how much does it cost per article, do you think?
I pay $7.50 for one of these outlines, and then the same guy posts it on the site once the article is back from the writer.
Okay.
So, figure.
Trevor has a question for you. Or sorry, finish up. Sorry.
Yeah, figure about $30 an hour per 4 outlines plus posting the article. Not too bad. It's better than having me doing it.
Yeah,
All
you
right,
haven't got time for that kind of thing.
Do you silo structure your content topics? Yes, I do. I'm a big fan of silo hubs, or pillar pages, or what have you. The example I used in my template there. I had crate training for puppies, potty training, socializing, and in 1,500 words, that's really not enough to go into full detail on each one of those training methods. So what I would do is I would use that article, GSP training, as my silo head, and then I would link out to sub-articles for each training topic, which I would go into detail. And that would really kind of flesh out my my GSP training silo, and then I could also do support content for each one of those frequently asked questions as well. Just do like a 500-word article, really going in depth, answering the question. And then, as Jared said, I could make a custom sidebar just for that silo, and I could link to every one of the supporting articles and every one of the training articles for GSPs in that custom sidebar. And what that would do is that would create a really, really tight silo for GSP training, and it supports itself as far as relevancy. Just you interlink every page to every other page, and all pages receive a benefit. Do you need to add target keywords to H2 to H6? My main target keyword I'm including in the H1 tag, and maybe 3 to 5 times in the body content, and no more. My keyword density these days is usually about 0.5% or lower. But what I will do is I'll add all those secondary keywords and LSI keywords to the H2 to H6 headings anywhere I can, and then I'll also integrate them into the body content wherever it's natural. I never want to force anything. I just want it to be natural. And how many internal links do you add to your content? There's no rule. I'll just add a few when I first post the content, and then after it's ranking and the content's been posted for 60 to 90 days, I'll have a good idea of where Google thinks that content should be ranked for the keyword. And if it's not on the first page yet, what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll add internal links from other pages back to this page, and that's usually enough to boost the article from wherever it's ranking to the first page within the next 60 to 90 days. So it takes a while. You got to be patient. But if you're constantly building new articles every day, every week, this just becomes part of your daily process. So you're not really waiting 60, 90 days after every change you make. You're just constantly doing something on a piece of art.
It's just like a machine, isn't it? You just keep going. I mean, like one of our sites just popped this week after doing nothing for ages, and suddenly it's rocketing up. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, if you go back and add internal links to an article that's already live, Garrett's had a lot of success adding some content at the same time?
Yeah, it's what we talked about on the show last week.
Yeah.
The iterative content. Yeah, I'll share that link from No Hat Digital again because it's a pretty good article.
Yeah, that's cool.
Where is it here? Here it is. Yeah, iterative content is the way to go. If you have the resources, you want to try to update your content once a month or once a quarter. And it's been proven time and time again that if you add extra content, add extra internal links, to other pages or incoming to the page, you get a freshness boost. Right now, simply just updating the date of the article in WordPress, that is proven to give you a little bit of a rankings boost if you do that once a month or once a quarter. But like we talked about last week, we're expecting that little loophole to close up sooner than later. So that's not something I would rely on for much longer. But yeah, this blog post from No Hat Digital on iterative content goes into a lot of detail on the topic of updating old content.
Yeah, and if you do it as part of your interlinking strategy, you've got an excuse to go back. It kind of times it for you.
Yeah. It all goes back to standard operating procedures. If you have a SOP for every aspect of your business, it just becomes part of your daily routine. The bulk of the work is front loaded, right? So you got to spend all the time testing these strategies out, and then tweaking them, doing them yourself a few times, and then writing your operating procedure. But once you train a VA or employee on the process, and they prove themselves to be able to do it time and time again without fail, it's off your plate. You don't have to worry about it anymore, and it's just part of your business.
So one quick question then is, can you suggest some tips for e-commerce on-page content?
Some tips for it's pretty much. Well,
One second, guys. I have a small child.
No problem.
Good morning.
So for e-commerce content, you have two primary spots where your content can go. It would be your category content and your actual product descriptions. Category content is pretty broad, and you just kind of have to use your brain for coming up with broad content that would be good for the category itself. A lot of time it's pretty much BS, but for now, not a lot of people are adding category content for e-com, so you can get away with it just being pretty broad, targeting the main keyword for the category. But on product description content, you can get real creative with it. Most people are just writing, they're telling you what the features, advantages, and benefits of the product are, and that's it. But as SEOs, we have to be more creative, and we have to extend our content beyond that, and we have to do it in a way that isn't just keyword stuffing or fluff content. So for product descriptions, I like to add, who is this product for? Who would benefit the most from this product? Product usage tips. So a lot of products have off-label uses that most people wouldn't have never thought of using. So if you could create a list of tips for how to use this product or off-label uses, all this kind of stuff, adding it to your product description is going to give you the edge over your competition. And I've been doing this for a lot of e-commerce sites, and it works very, very well. What if it is must to write words out of main target? I'm sorry, designers and you. Can you rephrase that last question? I don't really know what you're asking there. What if it is? Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little confused about that last question there. What, did everybody bail on me? They did. Motherfuckers. Who do we got up next? Trevor? Trevor, you here, bud? All right. Well, at least I got 28 people watching at 1 in the morning or midnight, depending on where you are.